Hello and welcome back to vlog number 3 for the epic scale American Civil War project that I'm doing. I've shared pictures of this a few days ago, but I wanted to just do a quick video on it and talk about a few things that have come up when I was prepping to build it. So the base here is a 60mm round Warlord Games round lip base. I think on a previous video I said 40mm when I was talking about potentially using them. And I've actually ordered some more different sizes. So my plan is to do sort of core army level commanders on a base that's 60mm, and then for the divisional level, if I do those, and you don't really need them in the game, it's kind of the basic game is brigade level commanders and an army commander, but there's extra rules in Glory Hallelujah to sort of run higher commanders and roll in between commanders. So you're kind of looking at a core and down, and if you run multiple core, then one of your core commanders becomes the army general. But anyway, I thought personality wise, Lee and Jackson will definitely be core level commanders. Obviously it depends on the period, so if you're sort of early war, Jackson may only be commanding a brigade, but you get the gist. But so the bigger names and what's likely to be core level commanders, I'm going to use these 60mm round lip bases. So this is Robert E. Lee, and the flag bearer that comes in the kit, and then on the back I've added just one of the standard mounted officers, the commanders that you get on the plastic sprue. Now my original plan, let's make sure that's focusing again now, just moved it a little bit. My original plan, and I think I mentioned it before, was to use some of the Callistra models to go on these command bases to fill them out, and that's fully what I intended to do. I even started painting them to use on this very base, and I had 2 lollipop sticks, one with Lee and the flag bearer on, and the other one with 2 Confederate officers which I'd picked out to be sort of ACDs, that kind of thing. And as I was painting them, I just thought it just didn't feel quite right. They're nice enough models, you know. I think I've said on previous videos I'm a big fan of these Warlord sculpts. I think they're digitally sculpting, which greatly improves the ability to do quality at this lower scale. But if I just move this out of the way for a second and bring in the Callistra ones that I started to paint, as I said, nothing wrong with these miniatures. It's not going to focus, is it? Nothing wrong with these miniatures. They're really quite nice, but I just felt that the horses looked a bit small, a little bit pony-esque. I was having visions of dwarves riding ponies in Unexpected Journey film, and they just the comparison between the size of the officer himself, the man, and the mount just seemed a bit small. Okay on their own, but when they were against the horses that we have on these, while the mounts are definitely clearly different. The riders looked about the same size, but for me they just look really odd together. And I'll post up a little image, because I think I took a better picture than this side by side. And they just look, when I mocked them up on the base, they just look wrong, especially once I started putting paint on them. It's not so easy to see when they're in plastic and resin, or sorry, metal and resin. So I just thought it was ruining the look of the base. Doesn't mean I won't use these, but whether they become different brigadiers or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, so it's not knocking Callistra models. They're very nice. They're very good value. I know a lot of the community that are going to be playing this game are planning on using a lot of them, absolutely. And there's people that are using Peter Pig as well, which are probably a little bit bigger in the other way, whereas the Callistra are slightly smaller. So nothing wrong with using them, absolutely fine, but I just felt that it didn't look right on this base. I just wanted to make this base look cool, because it's potentially going to be my army commander. I say that when looking at most of the engagements that I'll be playing, and you think your army commander is more likely going to be a picket if you do picket charge. I can't imagine you fitting much more on the table. If you're running a couple of core, we might have Jackson and Longstreet, which we don't have, but you get the idea. Maybe later in war when Lee was commanding. I caught by himself a bit more. When Longstreet wasn't there, I think it was sort of late 64 onwards. So anyway, back to the plans. So the 60mm round, I'm probably going to have three models on the bases, and then I'm going to use 40mm round lips, and these Warlord ones again. And I really like them because they're quite thin at the edge. So they don't look too chunky next to the actual plastic bases, and I do like using plastic if I can. MDF's fine, but I quite like the plastic bases if I can. And so 40mm will be my divisional, and I'll probably have 2 models on there, 2 mounted models. And then for the brigade commanders, I'm going to use 25mm round rather than the square base that's provided. And I may just have a single man on them. Maybe we'll have a flag bearer. I know with Union they'll have brigade flags. And chatting to Dennis a little bit, which I put a little flag up in one of my last videos. He's been giving me some help with flags. I don't think that's quite so apparent with the rebels, so I may have a banner bearer on there, and that's where I may use some Callistra stuff. I may even use a banner bearer on foot or something, because there aren't really going to be, it's going to get expensive to get a lot of these guys. So even at £6 for the new packs, which will be released in June, so wave 3, you've got 2 generals and 1 banner bearer. It would have been nice maybe to have them in packs of 2 at a little bit cheaper, £4 for 2, so you get a banner bearer with each of your generals that you choose. I may buy some extra of those packs anyway, especially if I'm getting them from my local friendly store. Get the discount that the store can offer, and I may convert some of those, and I think I've mentioned that before. So I think the standard version of Lee has his hat on. I think add a little bit of extra beard, he might make a nice Longstreet, and even can use mixing up the some of the Union ones into the Confederates as well. So I might make a few more personalities using the Warlord sculpts. But it's difficult with I really love these sculpts, but there's obviously not going to be enough of them to do all the commanders and personalities that I want to, and then maybe it's just a case of not mixing the Callistra. Anyway, let's talk to you a little bit about how I painted it. So it's black prime, zenithal grey, dry brush, as mentioned in one of the previous videos, and then contrast paints predominantly over the top. A few little extras here and there because of the command models, but very, very little. Kept it very, very simple. And the base is prime black as well, and then I use scale 75 petroleum grey in the in the recess in the centre that gives me a base, and then I am putting a fairly thin layer of Vallejo earth texture, dark earth. It's a bit thick around the bases of the models themselves, just to flatten it out, but not really spooning it on thick, leaving it quite thin in certain areas. Even if it's leaving the brown underneath showing through, that's not a problem. Then I glued on some other little bits. So I've glued on some MDF broken wooden planks, which I've picked up from leftover kits, and a couple of bits of flint, and some broken plaster of Paris bricks and stones that I've been using on bases. I do make my own as well, plaster of Paris. Just do it in sort of thin sheets, about 5 and 10mm sheets of it, and break it up and use it as rock, and use it as broken concrete and things. Depends on the period and whether it's historical or fantasy or sci-fi, etc. But it's really, really easy to carve and use. So I added a few bits of those, and then I've haven't had to touch up, so the flint was a natural colour which took a wash really well, and the same with the plaster of Paris. If that was white plaster, I would have painted it brown, and then an all over kind of Agrax wash. And then once it's dry, I use some weathering powders. I think I've used a Vallejo light sienna, and then I've just sort of brushed it in. Rather than fixing it, just sort of brushed it in so it makes the ground look a bit dusty and dry, and then sort of blown away the excess, and it just sort of adds a little bit of texture, and changes it from looking like an area that's been painted and washed to something that might be real. Then after that, just lots and lots of tufts, really. 2mm tufts, mixture of 2 colours. I got these on eBay. I can't remember the name of the manufacturer, but 2mm seems to be about the right height for this scale, and then a few little bits of bush and things, and a few flower tufts which I've cut up a little bit, and it just makes it quite unique. I wouldn't put any of the flower tufts and things on the regular models bases because they get too busy at that scale, but it's nice to add them extra to the commanders. But the basic basing scheme is the same as on the rest of the army. It's just the little extras that I've added onto the spare page. I should say I've also used a little bit of Vallejo thick mud, European mud, in places of very few faint spots. And I've got those on the inventory bases as well. Anyway, I'll leave you there. That was a lot longer than I wanted it to be for a quick update just on painting one base. If you have any questions, obviously put them in the comments below. I'm going to keep producing unboxings of the pack as I go. As I open things up and build them, I'm going to keep doing the progress hobby vlogs, so there'll be lots of this epic scale American Civil War on the channel for quite a while. There will be some other things as well. So thanks for watching. Do all the usual stuff, some like and share and subscribe, and I'll catch you soon.